Hello and welcome to this edition of Around Town. I'm City of San Clemente Councilmember Kathy Ward. Over the past several years, Orange County has seen an increase in homelessness. The City of San Clemente, along with other cities, are focusing on ways to provide appropriate resources for those that are in need of assistance. Working with nonprofit organizations including Mercy House and Family Assistance Ministries, the City of San Clemente is making efforts to reduce homelessness and address concerns of our residents throughout the city. I am here with Cecilia Gallardo-Daly, our Community Development Director. Tell me about our city's outreach efforts.
So the city has heard from our community residents about the resources and services that the city needs to provide to the homeless. And what the city has done is they've contracted with Mercy House, a homeless outreach provider, to work with the OC Sheriff's Department to go out into the community, connect with the homeless, and provide them services. What Mercy House has been able to do is connect with the homeless individuals, find out what services they need, and provide them the resources.
I have heard that Mercy House is starting to build trust with some of the homeless in our city, and they're beginning to see results. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. The city staff meets with Mercy House and the OC Sheriff's Department on a bi-weekly basis to get updates on Mercy House's progress in the community. And what Mercy House has been able to do is really connect with the homeless individuals, create information about who they are and the services that they need. And with Mercy House's continuing presence out there in the community, they have been able to show the homeless individuals and families that they're there to provide a service and that they're there to help, and that has created a lot of trust.
What resources has the city given to the public in order to be educated on the homeless?
So we've provided some informational materials. I have here a copy of some of the information that we have available and that we have distributed. The first piece of information is the do's and don'ts of responsible compassion. And this is a good guide for people who come in contact with the homeless and who want to help. So it provides some information about what to do and what not to do, and some phone numbers of some social services agencies that those individuals can contact or that they can give out to those that are in need. We also have a brochure on homeless resources and just community resources in general. So if someone is in need of senior services or veteran services or food services or housing services or even substance abuse services, we've got a brochure with all of the contact information. And then more specifically for Mercy House, we do have cards that we've printed out that have the Mercy House contact information. There's a phone number here for a 24-hour number that people can call at any time. It's not always staffed, but people can leave a message and Mercy House will respond immediately. And the phone number and the information here is very helpful. We also have this same information on the city's website available for anyone to access.
And that would be at san-clemente.org/homeless. I'm with Mary Gray Perdue, the Executive Director of Family Assistance Ministries, and I would like to know a little bit about how FAM got started and what the services FAM provides.
Wonderful. Love that question. Gives me the opportunity to talk about what we do here and how so many people come alongside to help. What we want to do is capture as many people as possible before they become homeless. So homeless and hunger prevention has been part of what we've done since the very beginning. Very first person we helped was someone with rental assistance and a budget and a financial plan, and by the second month they were standing on their own 2 feet. So every person that comes through that door must meet with a case manager so we can help them unpack their story, cry with them sometimes, but then start working on that budget, which engages the logical side of the brain. Now it's income, expenses, bottom line, and the real work begins. And all the work is done by that person. So we have a whole tool chest of ideas of things that have worked for others. They get to figure out what's going to work for them. And it's everything from, someone just needed a budget. From that to someone who will need to come in for the rest of their life because it's a senior who doesn't have enough income and will never increase enough in their income. And then there's that donut hole of medication where the insurance company doesn't give them help, where they come in and say, it's either food or rent or my prescription. And as much as we can, we want to be able to stave that off and help them stay housed better for everybody, especially them, but it's more costly to the city to have somebody on the streets than it is to have them housed. So we're big on trying to either keep them housed or help people get rehoused.
Why don't you talk about some of your houses that FAM has?
Awesome, love that too. Gilchrist House, named after one of our founders, opened in 2003. We leased an apartment building here in San Clemente, and we've taken in over 836 homeless women and kids since that time to help them restabilize, help them increase their income, help them with life skills classes, parenting, anger management, smoking cessation. So once someone graduates from that shelter, they're allowed to come back and attend any of the classes that we have. And we always open up our counseling as well as all of our wraparound services, so clothing, food, job coaching, whatever it is we have here, we will continue to support anybody in the community that needs it. Sometimes people just need that little bit of help in order to get back on their feet. We have the only emergency shelter in South Orange County called Family House. And it is the only one that lets dads stay with their family. So we've helped men in the past who are living in a car in San Clemente and their wife and kids were in a shelter in Anaheim. People, I think, were afraid to mix populations. Well, in that shelter we have single moms, single dads, dual parent households, and pregnant women. And it works. Everybody's there to do their job and get through it. It's shared housing, so the apartments with several rooms, and in both of our shelters, which are across the street from each other so that we have a campus feel. In both shelters, you may share your room with another family. So there could be two single moms with their single kids in one room. It's bunk beds. It's not opulent. It is safe and a way for people to start working on the things that they need to do in order to get back on their feet.
How many beds does FAM provide?
In those two shelters, we have 52 beds. But we also have permanent supportive housing. We have 10 apartments that we master lease, and that's through a HUD grant. And we're in collaboration with 8 other agencies on that. Together we cover the county. Our focus is, of course, down here. And so we have those 10 apartments now with 12 people in them. And the idea is these are people with a mental or physical disability. They've been on streets for a long time. In fact, our first resident was on the streets for 40 years, a veteran in his 70s. It takes your breath away to imagine that, and that costs us as a city way more than it costs to have him housed. So we have federal funding for that. Of course, the federal funding doesn't cover the rent in South Orange County, right? So we subsidize. We have to raise the funds to subsidize to pay that rent. So the federal amount is like $1,433 for rent. We pay $1,500 and $1,600. But again, half of what it costs to have that person on the street. 100% reduction in law enforcement calls. Huge reduction in hospital visits because they're housed and stable. We provide all the wraparound services. We go up there once a week, check on them, make sure they're acclimating to their community, make sure they're getting to their doctors. We have something called friendly visitors, which are volunteers that go up and also visit. And in addition, the apartment complex or the land, whoever the landlord is also our client. So if ever there is a challenge with one of the clients, they will call us and we will take care of whatever it is. So it works out really well for everybody, and again, delighted and honored to be able to help people like this.
Mary, what do you want people to know about homeless in San Clemente?
Wow, we have a variety of homeless in San Clemente. One of the populations that people don't see are the families that are homeless in their cars, and they don't want people to know that they're living in their cars because they're afraid they're going to lose their children. We are a part of a group that we helped found for the county. It's called the Family Solutions Collaborative, and we're working on ending family homelessness in Orange County by the year 2020. We now are 20 organizations strong. There was 5 of us that started it, and that's our big goal. We did the first ever family assessment week in Orange County, and we're able to assess over almost 200 families, I want to say 176 families who were homeless, and get them into a coordinated entry system where we're working on getting them housed. We're fortunate to have our 2 shelters in town where we can take homeless and get them into our shelters and help them stabilize and be safe, which allows them to free their mind from worry and start working on that plan. And our case managers are awesome coaches that help them work on that. And our job is to give them hope and to help them figure out how they're going to get back on their feet. Not everybody will make it. We have some people that are dealing with mental illness. We have some people dealing with addictions. We want them to get to the point where they're ready to make those choices, where they're ready to, especially the ones dealing with an addiction. They have to decide that they're ready to get off the streets. For someone with a mental illness, unless we can get them into permanent supportive housing, which there aren't enough units right now, but I know that things are being done with the ACCOC, and some of the cities are working on those kind of plans, which is great, because again, that'll make a difference in who's on our streets. But if somebody is brand new, homeless in our town, we want them to come here because we want to help them with our Homeward Bound program. We've now helped our 51st person in the last 2 years find their support system.
What I want you to talk about is how you became a case manager where you have control of, and access to all these services with the county. Because that's a very interesting part. Most people think FAM is just to prevent homelessness, and that is a big part of it. But you also do case management for the county for intake. And so I would like you just to talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So FAM has 7 case managers as well as volunteers that come in and help with intake by phone. We have over 300 phone calls a month for people looking for help, looking for housing, looking for stabilization. One thing that happens when somebody is homeless, we want to help them either get back to where they came from through Homeward Bound or start working on a working plan. So our case managers here are well versed in what not only what we can do, and the city has provided funding through the CDBG for prevention to keep them from homeless, but also we get some community funds, about $22,000 to help us help people with unique ways of getting them help, whether it's job or whether it's, we did help with cremation once from someone who couldn't transport their loved one. But a lot of the people need regular case management.
The city recently hired Mercy House. I think they started in September. And I want to hear how Mercy House coordinates and helps your services with FAM.
Awesome. So we've been partners with Mercy House for many years. In fact, we are partners with them in permanent supportive housing. We are partners with them in the Family Solutions Collaborative. There are a bunch of agencies together that do these kinds of partnerships. We've worked with them for the last couple of years in Dana Point. We've been serving South Orange County for 19 years. But what they do, their specialty is outreach. Before they came along, we were trying to answer all those outreach calls that we got from people in the community. We didn't have the staffing for it, but how do you not answer a call from someone in the community who needs help? So we were sending our case manager staff out there to do outreach, and they're very capable and able to do it. Now having Mercy House in the community and funded by the city is awesome. So they'll now, when we get those calls, in fact, we got a call yesterday from someone who saw somebody on the streets who needed help. We were able to pass that call right on to Mercy House, let them do the outreach, let them send to us somebody that they find that's brand new in our town so that we can get them, with the Homeward Bound program, helped back to their support team. And as well as somebody they may be working with that is now ready to get into a shelter, one of our shelters, or some other form of service that we're able to provide the safety net, the wraparound services.
How does FAM work with our Sheriff's Department? Can you talk a little bit about any of that history?
Sure. We love our local Sheriff's Department. We'll get calls, hey, have you seen this person? Or they'll come in and talk with us. But also they'll bring up people. This guy is ready to go. He's ready to go home. So they'll bring them here. We'll get them assessed, and maybe not even assessed at that point. If they're ready to go, we're going to help them get home, contact where they're going, and make sure they're connected. Our local deputies are great partners. If we're looking for somebody, there might be a family member searching for someone, we're able to connect with them and figure that out. We get calls from the county, and they'll say, hey, we have a picture of this guy, can you help us find him? We have a bed for him in a mental health hospital, and we're able to work with the Sheriff's Department, say, okay, where is he hanging out? And they'll know exactly where it is, because they're out there every day working with these people, trying to figure out how do we best help without causing harm for the city, right? But also figuring out ways to best help some of these people that are challenged with figuring out a way to be permanently housed.
So a lot of this seems that we're trying to find the appropriate services for the people that we encounter. And I can't imagine San Clemente not having FAM with all the different providers that you have and all the different services that you do. I can't imagine where we would be if we did not have you. So I really want to say thank you. I know the city, we greatly appreciate being your partner and appreciate all that you do. We are in Family Assistance Ministries, their warehouse, and Mary Gray Purdue, I would like you to tell me what we're seeing here. First, start with the truck that's over here.
This is one of our 4 trucks, and this morning the trucks went out and picked up the near expiration food from our local grocery store partners, who give us what they can no longer sell, but it still has good nutrition. And these amazing volunteers are unloading it, and they're going to sort it so we can make sure it gets out to those who are hungry in our community. this is the food that's been picked up with these last two trucks. And they're sorting through it and getting it ready for distribution either through the fridge or freezer. We have walk-in units over here, or to the staging area. And it'll be given out to the clients that will be coming in today. We see a lot of people. And most of our people, we had 13,314 people last fiscal year who came in 89,900 encounters. It's a lot of times that people are coming. However, on average, people come 6 times and then they're on their feet. There are some households that will never be on their feet because they're dealing with an illness that has taken them down. And so we are very honored to be able to be there to help them through a lot of times their last days.
One other thing you talked about is that this truck goes and takes deliveries to the base. Can you talk about that for our service members?
Sure. For a couple years, once a month, we took food to the base to the MOMS program. And then we were approached by some veterans who came in and said, we need some more food. We have families that are food insecure, a lot of families. So we started looking at our programs and process and figured out we could increase our food intake a little bit from stores that were donating and be able to put that food on trucks and take it down to the base, and we now do that 3 times a week. I'll tell you, if people are looking for ways to serve, there are 245 weekly volunteers here at FAM, over 1,500 for the year, and these are people that give up their time to come in and help, usually a 3-hour shift. We have as young as 2 that comes with mom or dad, and as old as 94 that have come and volunteered here. And it takes all of us working together in order to change lives and to help people get back on their feet and support this program.
So Mary, we're in a different part of the warehouse. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yes. An Eagle Scout needed a project for his Eagle Scout badge, and he made working wardrobes for our women and men when they're out looking for jobs. So look at that darling detail he put in there, and when you open it, you'll see that people in the community have donated working clothing so that when they're going on interviews, they can dress appropriately for those interviews. So shoes, clothing, and then the rest of our boutique is full of donations for people in need. So from children through adults, so that they can have the proper clothing that they need to keep them warm or to look good for school or whatever it is they're doing.
So would you like to make a plea to the community for clothing to be donated?
Yes, that would be fantastic. We love clothing. We love other items as well as household goods. We have a resale shop in town as well, and things there get sold and the funds are used to support our programs. From time to time, we'll get someone who'll come in and say, I really just want this to go straight to clients. We said, absolutely, happy to do that. So we share what comes in to both locations.
I'm here with Stephanie Ogas, who is the South County Outreach Manager for Mercy House. And you are in our city now. Could you tell us a little bit, and everyone here, what Mercy House does?
So Mercy House is a housing nonprofit organization, and we're based out of Orange County. We also are in Upland. We're actually expanded out to Arizona as well. We offer a lot of housing programs, shelter programs, rental assistance, and outreach. And so we were asked to come down here to South County, starting in Dana Point about 2.5 years ago.
And can you tell our viewers what is the process that you go through in San Clemente?
Sure. So our process has been in San Clemente that we go out into the streets to engage with homeless individuals and try to engage, assess, and refer. So when we encounter an individual, we ask them if they are seeking assistance, whether it be for housing, medical care, social services, transportation, mental health, substance use, and we try to do an intake with those individuals to try and gather statistics for the city. And then we try to refer those individuals over to the appropriate agency where they can get resources and services that they need.
And I hear that you actually work with our Sheriff's Department. Is that true?
Yes, so in all of the cities that we work with down here, we partner with the OCSD very closely. We do weekly ride-alongs and case management while we were out in the field engaging with homeless individuals.
Well, we thank you very much for joining our city, and I think you've been very successful so far, and I'm hearing great things.
Thank you. We look forward to staying here and helping out more.
If you would like more information on the best practices for assisting people who are homeless in our community or resources that are in need of assistance, please visit the City of San Clemente website at san-clemente.org/homeless. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you around town.